American kids scream when they play. Japanese kids don't. So if you go by like a Japanese elementary school, the kids are playing quietly. They're conversing like kids. But if you go by American playground, every kid is screaming. They want to they want to yell more than the other. The parents are yelling at them. The school's yelling at them. It just is like body of chaos.
Let's go.
Welcome to Citizen. We have a special guest today from Toehold, AG Gregoroff. Am I saying that right?
You are.
It sounds kind of Russian, to be honest. Should I be worried about that?
It is Russian.
Calling the cops. Tell the audience about yourself a little bit, where you come from. And
yeah, my name's AG. I grew up in San Diego. Country boy. We grew up really rural. A lot of people don't think of California nowadays as being like a rural place or a country place, but that's how it was growing up. We shot guns, longbows. We had cornfields next to us. Just grew up in San Diego. Been there for probably till maybe in my mid-30s, and then been in Las Vegas ever since.
Whereabouts in San Diego?
Oceanside, Vista area.
And there's a lot of bow hunting around there?
Not so much bow hunting, just we were shooting targets and shooting rabbits and coyotes and things like that.
Sweet. Yeah.
There's no deer or anything. There is in the mountains, but...
Well, now there's a bunch of homeless people, so you could probably...
Yeah.
Whatever.
And they're slow, too, on fentanyl.
Yeah, they're not quick. So, grew up in San Diego. What was that like?
It was cool. It was country living. We grew up listening to Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, bonfires on the beach. We would scuba dive, body surf, free dive, catch lobster, catch fish. And then just over the years, we've seen the regulations start to build and build and build, and you could just do less and less and less until it was almost like a outdoor prison. You just couldn't do anything.
What do you mean by regulation? I know California's fucked up, but give me specifics.
So anything from like you couldn't be on the beach, period, past like 10 p.m. And then you couldn't have a bonfire on the beach past 9 p.m. You couldn't have glass on the beach. You couldn't have alcohol on the beach. You couldn't drive on the beach anymore. You can't have loud music on the beach. You can't fish from the beach. Just every year there's a new thing. And if we look at it objectively, some of the things are good as far as like they have really good management of their like wildlife in the ocean, good fishing rules, good regulations so things don't get overfished. But almost everything else is just overregulated. Can't camp anywhere, can't off-road. You have to go miles and miles, hundreds of miles inland to be able to like off-road in a place that is legal.
Yeah, then you're in Inland Empire and there's a bunch of gecko tattoos and shit. Nobody wants to see that, man, to be honest.
It's nothing but meth and bikers out there.
Yeah. So, high school, did you go to college?
No, I didn't even go to high school.
Why not?
Just to get in trouble. I hated school. I have a really interesting like viewpoint on concepts. I'm probably like 5% autistic, but you go to a school all day and I feel like you don't learn anything, right? And then you go home and you study more and you don't learn anything. And then they want you to do that for years after years after years. Where I recognized early on as a kid that like my dad was a truck driver. If I was just out at his trucking lot, and I seen a guy like running an excavator and he showed me in like a few minutes how to use it, I pretty much got the hang of it really quick. And life skills I would learn fast, but classroom skills I would never learn.
I think they call that a kinesthetic learner.
Kinesthetic? Is that like live action?
More or less, yeah. Like kinesiology, kinesthetic tape, like muscle. You need to do something to learn it.
Yeah,
basically.
And I like to move around. I don't like to hold still. I kind of like just to do whatever I want to do. So, and we grew up outside, so having me indoors is like having a coyote indoors. I'm just going to tear everything up as a kid. And
well, I don't think boys are meant to be indoors anyways.
I agree with you.
I'm sure there are some that have a proclivity for, I don't know, math and science maybe that would prefer to be in. Like I enjoy.
You talking about Asians?
Yeah. I enjoy math, science, physics, and shit like that. But my solution for most problems for young boys is just to make them go outside and dig a fucking hole in the ground. To be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, just get that energy out somehow. Do something at least seemingly productive.
So by 7th grade, I was done with school. I went to less school than like an Amish kid.
Well, they're doing better than most people, to be honest. What did you do in lieu of school? Like, how'd you occupy your time?
Just get in trouble, get in fights.
Like, what kind of trouble?
Just fighting people, stuff like that.
But that seemed that used to be like kind of I have a bunch of friends from England, and this has still gone on until relatively recently, the last 10 years or so. If you're like high school age, you're just cruising around with your buddies, looking for other groups of dudes cruising around with their buddies so you can fight them.
Yeah, that's pretty much what San Diego is like.
It seems like a reasonable thing for a young man to do, to be honest. As long as you're not out there shooting people and shit, right?
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. I started doing jiu-jitsu in 1990, long before the UFC came out. So our group of friends knew jiu-jitsu, and nobody else did. So we had a pretty unfair advantage, when it got into fighting and stuff like that. And by no means am I like a tough guy, but back then you had skills that nobody else had, And so I just did jiu-jitsu, went to the beach, smoked cigarettes, got in fights, and pretty much just did that.
What about after high school age? You're 18. What are you doing now?
I was in jail for a couple of years. 19 and 20. I turned 19 and 20 in jail. And then after that, I worked at a strip club when I got out.
Oh, nice.
As a bouncer.
What were you in jail for?
So they used to have this thing in California. This was called asset forfeiture. Have you ever heard of it? It was big in California back in the day. And I'm really pro law enforcement. But this particular group of police officers were under a lot of pressure to solve this gigantic methamphetamine problem that was going on in San Diego and Southern California at the time. And what they would do is they would send in a confidential informant. And if you were doing recreational drugs, weed, things like that, the guy would tip off the cops. But then also, if it wasn't heavy enough, he might leave a couple extra things there for them to find. Years later, it came out in like a news article. Some of those officers were subsequently fired. But I was at my uncle's avocado grove in Bonsall. Huge property, multiple acres, several houses on it, migrant workers that picked the avocados. I was just there visiting my cousins, who obviously lived there as well, and the FBI, the DEA, sheriff's department. They all raided the place. We didn't know what they were doing there, but they raided the place, handcuffed everybody, took like 15 adults to jail, and then it's innocent until proven guilty.
Sure.
So everyone's facing the same amount of charges, even though, now I said this before, but if it happened today, I would walk away scot-free. I had no drugs in my system, no fingerprints on anything. They take your clothing, put you in like a paper suit, so they could run it for, analyze it for like chemicals, clean on all that type of stuff. But what ends up happening is you're in jail for a couple months during the hearings and whatnot.
Pre-trial confinement.
And then your attorney comes to you and says, hey, listen, they're going to offer you a deal. 2 years, run concurrent. You've already been 3 months. You're in here for like 2 more months and you get out of here. And the old timers who are doing, they're like, dude, take that deal. Because the alternative is like minimum of 16 years. And you've already seen the system kind of work against you, and you've seen them stack things against you. So we pled guilty, took that deal, and then I wound up losing all my good time and doing almost the full 2 years just for fighting and stabbings and stuff like that.
Sure. What was so yeah, it's hard to stay out of trouble once you're in there, I would imagine.
It is, yeah. And I wanted to be in trouble. Like it's fun to me. Like that's what you do. So California jail system's different than anywhere else in the country.
Where were you at?
I was in multiple facilities, but the main one was George Bailey, which is a supermax down by the Mexican border.
Okay, it's like what, near San Ysidro or some shit?
Yeah, it's like Otay area.
Yeah, okay.
Right down there.
And what was that like? I mean, different than county jail, I would imagine.
Well, it's a county facility. It's county ran, but California is different than like maybe
all of California's jails except for the federal prisons are county run. Because you have to be a sheriff, you have to do 2 years in that jail first before you go out and
Correct.
do like patrol and shit.
There's I don't know if it's a hard rule, but that's at least what they highly recommend. And I think some
That's a
places
hard
it's
rule in California. I worked in the private security industry in California for about 8 years. That's like you can't get by that.
I know you're right about that. I just didn't know if it was a suggestion or a requirement.
No, it's a requirement.
They do that.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things they're super strict about, to be honest. For
and
some
then
reason.
the COs wind up learning the tricks, the tactics, who the players are. So when they go out to the street, they already kind of know who's doing what, how to run games.
That makes sense, right? To
it
some
does
degree,
make
it
sense.
Yeah. Although being a CO, fuck that, man. That's the worst job in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
I have a lot of friends in Vegas that have that job, and they're just, I mean, they make good money, but you're just stuck in there with just shitty people all the time.
Yeah, for real. Fuck that. So you made it out in one piece. What happens next? You're 20 years old now?
Yeah, late 20s, probably 21.
Okay.
Approaching 21. I started working at the strip club called the Main Attraction in Oceanside, doing just security and stuff like that, working my way up through the business. Still doing jiu-jitsu, still lifting weights, doing steroids, all that type of stuff. And then just working out, staying in really good shape. And then from there, I got a part-time job as a trainer, worked my way up through training, worked my way over to LA Fitness, wound up becoming a manager, making a shitload of money, running a big team. And then just moving on from there to contracting work for the government.
Mean, that's a pretty... That's a quite the turnaround, I guess, from enjoying being in trouble to then leading other people. How'd that happen?
Well, the being in trouble thing. So some people start off as like criminals and they turn their life around. I'm not that guy. I was just always good at whatever I did. You know what I mean? So if we go and do something, I'm going to try to be good at it. Whatever it is. If we just get into hang gliding today, I'm going to try to be good at it, right? In jail, I'm going to be good at it. And being like a manager, I'm going to be good at it. I'm just going to dedicate everything it takes to be good at it. I'm not always successful, but the effort's going to be there. So what I wound up doing is I hired a bunch of ex-gang members to work for me because they're all good salesmen. They're all hustle. I hired maybe 2 girls with college degrees so that like our emails were like spell checked correctly and the paperwork made sense. But just all guys that are hardcore hustlers. And we crushed it. We made a lot of money. We did a lot of probably questionable stuff, but that's what you have to do in a high pace, high sales environment. And then from there, one of my dive buddies had told me about an opening for the company he worked for when we were swimming back in after a dive. He had said this guy broke his back, there's an opening. I went and applied for it, and then we wound up, the kind of scope of work was to, it was the survivability of the Marine Corps and or sailors, like corpsmen. So the contract was anywhere that Marines were dying in training, we had to kind of shore that up, come up with training, development, and a program to solve that. So one of the big areas at the time was like Humvee rollovers because of rolling into canals in Afghanistan.
Yeah, we built that fucking rollover machine at some point in the mid-2000s. I don't remember what it was, but it's a simulator, right?
We had a simulator, yeah. So the one we used, our company built it. It was a multi-million-dollar, one of the nicest in the world. We had a helicopter, an AAV, a Humvee, an MRAP. I think it was a Buffalo, something like that. And then like an MV-22 Osprey, the CH-53, the 46, all the different aircraft or vehicles the Marines used. We came up with the development of that. I worked on the explosive exits and the like egress systems for the new MV-22 Osprey. I wound up going to Okinawa for a year. And then during that time, almost at the very end of that contract, that was kind of when Obama was trying to get rid of contractors because all that heat from, I think it was Blackwater, but I don't know the specifics.
Blackwater's the one that got sued, yeah. So I'm sorry, they got kicked out of Iraq. They didn't get sued. They also got sued, but that didn't go anywhere. But they got kicked out of Iraq.
So he was trying to, I think, just visually bring down the contractors. So at that point, we went from being like a private company that was contracted through the government to working like directly for the DOD. It was back end stuff that I didn't know, but we had to go through crazy extensive background checks and things like that. And my background almost stopped me. The FBI looked at everything and they kind of gave me a sympathy pass on my clearance because of seeing the circumstances in the case. And we were already kind of contesting that. But I probably, on paper, I probably should have never got that secret clearance.
It is what it is. I had a simple possession weed ticket before I got in. I just had to get a morality waiver. It's weed. Nobody cared, right? And I got a top TSSCI clearance actually eventually. So I don't know, that the middle part of the 2000s time it's probably coming again, to be honest, because they need bodies so much. We're gonna have to start letting in people with face tattoos and shit again. I guess we'll see how it goes. So what was the training like exactly? So you guys develop a training program for Marines to make sure they don't die in rollovers and helicopter crashes.
Yeah, so that was the main focus of the time because there was like a Haditha Dam incident. There was a couple incidents in Iraq and Afghanistan where an IED went off and an armored Humvee rolled upside down into a canal and people died. So it was just we implemented IPHAB-D bottles, which is like an intermediate passenger aircrew breathing device bottles. Just different orientation exercises on how to stay oriented within the vehicle. Just some preparedness thing when you get into a vehicle. I've never been on a mission, but I imagine you're exhausted afterwards. There's chaos. You jump into a vehicle. You're packing in there. I see them come in and out so many times that I imagine it's just a shit show. So just understanding where you are, where your gear is, keeping your gear either on you or away from you. Yeah. The big ones was the helicopter crashes, because those ones would hit the water. Water's usually freezing cold. It's at night. Rapidly flips upside down, and you always got a few guys that are going to freak out, kill everybody. So you got to just kind of work around those guys, get to the exits, get out, ditch your gear, deploy your life vest.
And you were rocking with an Osprey, which is had a lot of trouble with crashing in general. The Sea Stallion is pretty robust. The 53 is pretty robust, but the Osprey crashed all the fucking time.
Even in the 80s, well, especially in the 80s when they were developing it, it was always crashing.
Even until the early like 94, I think, there was a couple of big ones just that one year.
It went from like crashing every single time, basically, to crashing less and less. I can't believe they stuck with that aircraft as long as they did. But from a utilization standpoint, like what they can do with it when it works correctly, it's impressive.
I like the Sea Stallion. The Osprey, I don't think I would want to get in one of those, even today, to be honest. All right, so you're doing this, get a secret clearance, then what? I mean, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was coming out of the prison system and then going back into the workforce can be difficult, right? Because just getting through the background check process, especially in a place like California.
Yeah.
I used to, my security company, we used to do background checks for all the major companies around there. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass, but I think probably getting a security clearance would negate some of that, right?
Well, in the private sector, they don't care about your security clearance. But on those applications, you just lie. I just lied and said a high school diploma, lied and said I had no felonies. California is actually pretty good where they'll hide you from your felonies after a certain amount of time. Like you're not allowed to. California has really bad laws and then a couple good laws. Where you can't even, like, for an employer, you can't disclose anything other than did they work there and what was their role.
And I think you can say, would you hire them again, yes or no? I think those are the three
They may have
questions you
added
can
that,
ask.
but at the time you couldn't even ask that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that you can ask, you can verify that they work there, and you can verify, you can ask them if you would hire them again or not, and what their position was. But that's it.
We had, when somebody would call Apple to confirm employment, you weren't allowed to talk to a person. You'd call an automated system, and then just so there was no chance of anybody messing it up.
Yeah. But so you got a job at Apple next.
Yeah, so as the contract was coming to an end, I just got back from Okinawa. I was considering re-signing, but there was a lot of uncertainty as to what was going to happen next.
What year was this?
The end of 2010.
Oh, yeah. That's when I got out of the Army, because our next two deployments were going to be to go train Iraqi and Afghan police. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. Like, I signed up to go to war. I'm not trying to be a fucking babysitter for these assholes. But that was probably a good time for you to bail too, because the war kind of wound down for a little while until
Yeah, they were doing a lot of
Afghanistan
weird
heated up.
stuff back then.
Yeah.
I stayed away from the contracting part. We were able to read the contracts and stuff, but they're so convoluted and messy that I never really cared. So I started working for Apple part-time, and then as that contract wound to an end, Apple realized that I was their best salesperson because I came from 24-hour fitness. I was a Republican, which they didn't know, but I wasn't weird like everybody else. And I had a good work ethic. I worked hard, was super customer focused. And as a part-time employee, I was one of their best sales guys in San Diego. So they wanted me as a full-time employee. And then previously in my teens, around the time I dropped out of school and stuff like that, I was going back and forth from Vegas to San Diego, just going out there getting in trouble, hanging out with buddies.
Yeah.
So I already had Vegas experience, and they wanted somebody who could be a manager in Vegas and not fall victim to like the Vegas life, the drugs, the gambling, things like that. So they offered me an incredible position to take over one of their flagship stores. And that's what brought me to Vegas.
And then what's next in Vegas? You worked at that store for a little while? Or?
Yeah, Apple's much different than everybody else. They're the king of retail. So nobody even comes close to what those guys do. Anything with like company culture, benefits for their employees. You know, we've heard of like the things Google does and Facebook. Those guys are all copycats to Apple. Apple's the king of that stuff. So it's a great company to work for. And as a manager, you're not running your store. Like that's basic stuff. You could have like a co-manager run that stuff. You're part of the corporate executive team. So you're dealing with, you answer to one guy and that guy answers to Steve Jobs or Tim Cook as they phased out. So you're right there towards the top. And then what you would do is you would deal with global issues. So for example, we were dealing with these Chinese gangs that would go into our store in China, buy up all the products, and then set up a mini store in front of the store to sell them to the public. So you'd come up with solutions like that. Solutions like these pimps would go and get guys that just got out of jail that had a social security card and an ID. They'd bring them to the Apple store. And back then, if you remember, the phones were subsidized. So you would pay $200, get a $1,500 iPhone, and then pay that off over the course of your 2 to 3 year contract.
Right.
What they were doing was giving a guy $100, getting 5 phones, burning that account, and reselling them. So there was all kinds of issues like that. That's the type of stuff you were solving. You weren't really dealing with like scheduling or product placement or none of that typical stuff.
Well, they're having issues again with retail theft, but it's not just them. Obviously, it's pretty much everybody
Those
on the West
products
Coast.
that those guys are stealing out of the stores, they're all bricked.
Yeah, I don't understand what the point of that is.
What I think they would do, and it's still kind of, so you steal those products, you open them up, you take the components out. The components are all micro-serialized. We have to look at them with a 200 power microscope. This was back then. Nowadays, they probably even have some more advanced stuff. And then they sell them to a guy who's like an iPhone repair guy. So you own a store, I'm going to sell you screens, I'm going to sell you components, motherboards, whatever it is you need. And then you're going to put those in other phones. That's the only thing they could be doing with those products.
That seems like a lot of moving parts for some yo off the streets to be making moves like that, to be honest.
Yeah. I think they steal them first and then realize they're bricked second.
They could have just Googled that shit, to be honest.
Yeah. They're not that smart. That's why they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when we put those products out on the floor, there's special software we install on them that bricks them. Good luck bypassing that software.
But this is a problem. Like when I worked at Homeland Security back in the day, a lot of my superiors talked about this shit. Anytime there's an Olympics or the Super Bowl or anything like that, companies like Gap and Levi's and Apple and I guess Google as well, or Samsung or any of these companies, basically a lot of the foremans from the Chinese factories or the Singaporean or Laotian or wherever the fuck they are, they'll just run extra hours, make extra product, and then sell it black market, and it somehow shows up here in the States being sold by dudes like bucket drummers on the side of the road and shit. It's like that's a very complicated supply chain for theft that's happening globally now, which is a big fucking issue. I mean, it's the reason, not the only reason, but one of the reasons your shit costs so much is because companies like Apple are padding for those thefts because they can't do anything about it, really.
Yeah, those Asian syndicate gangs, those guys are very, very well organized. People underestimate their capabilities.
Yeah, well, now it's just roving gangs of people going directly into the store and stealing shit off the rack. So
yeah,
they're going low frequency again now. All right, so what's next after Apple? You're still in Vegas.
I'm in Vegas. So Apple's big on doing like 5 years. Come in, do your best work. It's like the NFL or the military. Come in, do your best work, go on and do great things elsewhere. It was kind of Steve Jobs' message that he wanted the rest of the world to have employees as good as the ones at Apple. So he'd encourage you to go on and create things elsewhere and do great things elsewhere. So you're not required to leave or anything like that. But after about the 5-year mark, all the stuff they've thrown at you, the career experiences, things like that, the travel, the running different stores, go over here and run this store for a week, like all those experiences kind of slow down and eventually stop. And then you could still remain there, but you're just a guy in the store, just running your store and dealing with the global issues, you know? You're not getting like the full company experience as you would.
Sure, yeah.
It's almost like being, I use a military example, which I have no experience in, almost like being like in action all the time, and then you just have to go be a recruiter. You're just stuck behind a desk. Yeah. So it's not the end of your career by any means. It's a much needed job, but the action's way less.
Yeah.
So at around the 5-year mark, I left, did a bunch of consulting for like a year. Because when you leave Apple, everybody wants to know like how you do things.
Sure.
Because they're like Forbes says, they're the kings of retail.
You start getting calls from all these stupid consulting companies like, hey,
headhunters, real
we'll
headhunters.
Give you $500 for an hour of your time to tell us how Apple works. Like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Well, they wanted like different companies like Radio Shack and Best Buy and Disney and all these other companies want you to come work for them. You could pretty much walk into any regional job at all at that point, or even a VP job, just because of your experience. But I was the most opposite of Apple. Meaning like I just came in, I did stuff really hardcore, really results driven, and they're very much like people driven. Meaning like, how do you feel today? What are you going through? Let's talk about that. I had to play that game a little bit, but it was really much like the better you were at generating numbers, the more we cared about you, the more we did for you.
Sure, yeah.
Results driven.
So what do you do after Apple?
Did a little bit of consulting, and then I kept having this problem all the way back to when I was in Okinawa of my flip-flops breaking. Just always breaking, always breaking. I always wear flip-flops. And when I was in Okinawa, I went to I was in the jungle, and I went to this hut. We came across this hut, and this guy was making bags. And I had the translator ask him if he could make leather flip-flops, like a sandal. And he's like, maybe. And I kind of sketched out what I was thinking. We went back and forth a while, and we wound up coming up with something kind of collaborative, just for me. And I was like, oh, these are great. I recognized the leather wasn't quite right and things like that, but I liked the style that I had pictured in my mind. Fast forward years later, those had worn out. I wanted to duplicate them. I sent the worn out version to some guys around the country that were leather workers, and none of them could figure it out, which still boggles my mind why they couldn't. But it's really the tread component, like the cobbler component is where they were struggling.
What do you mean by the cobbler is somebody that builds shoes, but like
correct.
When you say tread, what do you mean, like just the sole of the shoe?
Yeah, the way you're supposed to bond it, the way it's supposed to stick, the way you shape it, the way you have to be able to sand one that sands really easy and one that doesn't sand at all, it burns. Be able to burnish them together and sand them and shape them together. Just these little finite things that are really difficult.
Sure.
And if you don't have experience doing that, it's not really, for most people, it's not worth their time. Then I just decided I'm going to tinker in my garage and I'm going to figure this out. And then at that time that I decided to do this, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. Prostate cancer probably could have been dealt with, but maybe a little bit of the doctors not looking close enough and a little bit of him not pursuing it enough. So as I decided we're going to start this company, I'd send him a text message saying, "Hey, I'm going to start a flip-flop company." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool, buddy." And then a couple of days later, I sent him a picture of our logo. And he's like, "Well," he's like, "That's awesome, buddy. I'm really proud of you. You're really doing it." And that's the last message I've ever sent him. So from that day forward, I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to keep doing this. It was not a company. It was just like a brand, my own brand. We were just in the garage fucking around. And then slowly, a guy wanted a pair, a dude from another gym wanted a pair, this guy from Australia wanted a pair. And like on the side, I would just do a little bit of flip-flop making. And then over the years, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. For the first 3 years, dude, we were making like $100 a week. I mean, poverty poor. Then I decided to focus entirely on this. I was doing some consulting for Toyota at the time. And I decided to focus entirely on Toehold. My the regional at the company had said, he's like, "Dude, if you have a chance to do something that's your own and not have to be a slave to a corporation, go and do it."
Yeah.
And he said, maybe one day we'll hear you on Joe Rogan, because we all listened to Rogan on the podcast. This was 7 years ago. And then we just slowly grew the company. And the focus the entire time, we only had one focus: to make the best flip-flops on the planet. And I started with 0 leather experience, 0 craftsmanship. I wasn't an artist, never painted anything, never even went to like a crafts thing at school because I didn't go to school. 0 like craft experience. And then now I just have a psychotic dedication to making the best stuff on earth.
What do you think it is that makes Toehold different?
Everything. So if we take the product out of it, right? So a lot of people will chalk up their brand to their product, right? We don't do that. Our product's incredible, but to us, that's the price of admission. That's the bare minimum. Where a lot of guys will be like, "Dude, I make the best boot in the world." Well, who gives a fuck? You don't respond to your customers on Instagram. Sure. You're slow at responding to emails. You don't pick up your phone. And if I want to buy from you, I'm literally talking to some $8 an hour asshole who's just getting through his day. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
We have a completely backwards philosophy. Customer engagement is number one. You contact when a customer reaches out, that's when they want to buy. You're available to them immediately. So you can message us at like midnight and we're going to be right there. The only time you're not going to reach me is right now on a podcast for an hour. But other than that, I'll pick up my phone. We'll have probably 700 messages and we'll answer every single one of them. And we'll never put a minimum wage person in charge of customer contact. Everybody does that. There's this fucking philosophy that exists nowadays. It drives me crazy. And it's why we're worth millions of dollars, because we don't fucking subscribe to it. And what that philosophy is, you need to delegate more. You need more passive income. You need to be withdrawn from your business. I'll give you one of a million examples. I got a Harley, really nice one. Bought a helmet, they sent me the wrong one. No big deal, that happens. I called them up and I said, "Hey, you guys sent me the wrong helmet. Can I swap it out?" And the person's first thing out of their mouth was, would you like us to refund you? That's it. So let's say you're the CEO of that company. You're doing whatever you're doing. You're now paying somebody $10, $12 an hour to give away your money. And that person's doing that every single day. If you contact anybody, any company, even my friends' companies that have big coffee companies and have big knife companies, they all do the same shit. And it boggles my fucking mind. You put the best person forward always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm sure you're familiar with First Form and Andy Frisella. He's a good buddy of mine. That's been his and his brother Sal's philosophy from the beginning. The product, and he would say the same thing you did. The product being good is the standard.
Yeah.
Like that, you shouldn't even be bragging about that. That's just fucking. If you have to brag about that, something's wrong. Frankly, right? It is the way you treat your customers, right? Because ultimately, you can make a couple of bucks selling a product, but customer lifetime value is where it's at, right? Like return customers, and also firebrand word of mouth marketing is worth its weight in gold. Like you can't purchase that with, it doesn't matter how good your product is. If you're a cunt people are gonna be like, I'll go buy flip flops somewhere else, right? Especially when they're $400, which is expensive for a flip flop. So that's I don't know why anybody would do it any other way, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up. $400 is a lot for flip flops. We don't make flip flops. We make toe holds, and our $400 price point is the ones we sell the least of. The majority of what we sell is our $1,000 and up stuff.
What are those? What makes
like
those
exotics,
different than the other?
Like the exotics,
like different types of leather, you mean?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so we always have vegetable tanned cowhide, which is the best type of leather in the world. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into
Go
it,
ahead,
but that's the core of what we do.
Yeah, tell me more about that, because I don't know how any of that shit works.
So one of the issues we run into, and this will be an issue we'll have forever, is we have to re-educate mankind on what leather is. Because our grandfathers knew
it's tanned animal skin,
right?
Right.
But there's a huge difference on how they do that.
Sure, yeah.
So let's use an example most people can relate to is wood. Nowadays, you buy a desk, you buy a piece of furniture. It's from IKEA. It's particle board. It's sawdust and fragments of wood that's like glued or epoxied together,
pressed,
and it's pressed together.
Yeah.
That's what most people know of as wood. It's disposable. It's crap. It's low quality. Even more so, they might use a lot of synthetics and composite materials versus like a really nice, strong hardwood.
Sure.
So what humans have used forever, for thousands of years, is called vegetable tanned leather. And what that means is you get the hide, you put it in something that looks like a whiskey drum, except it's the size of this room. It's gigantic. And it's made with tree bark, tannins, roots, soil, things like that, and it naturally preserves the leather. Antimicrobial, non-toxic, doesn't smell when you sweat on it, and it shapes and it molds to whatever the product is. So you go back to the Roman days, their shields that they used to attach to their arm, the sandals they wore, those gay things that twisted around their ankles, the shorts, the sheath for their sword, horses, all that stuff, all vegetable tan leather. Cowboys, the holster, the belt, the bandoliers, the hats, the saddle, the boots, all vegetable tan leather. It's what humans have used forever. But then Nike came along in the 70s and they started using synthetic materials because you could get more profits. And you get old cowboy boots, like a good cowboy boot, not like a KC that's made in Mexico, but like a real genuine cowboy boot that's made in the US, something good. Cowboys are going to tell you this is my most comfortable thing I wear because it's made with vegetable tan leather, and that shapes and molds to your
it forms to you
foot.
over time.
Exactly.
I mean, like there are less expensive versions that do something similar sandal wise, like Rainbow. Just the sole though, like the rest, the top part is still made of composite shit. So it can only be so good, frankly, right?
We know a lot about Rainbow. They're nice guys.
Yeah.
All the materials from China.
Yeah, it's all from China, yeah.
So they assemble a little bit in San Clemente, California, where they originated, but the bulk of their stuff is made in China.
Just like Oakley, by the way. Like, not to call anybody out, but fuck them. Most of their shit comes from China, and then they do the final assembly in the U.S. and say it's U.S. made, but that's not technically true, is it?
There's a lot of companies that do that stuff.
Most companies do that, yeah.
Now, here's the opposite of vegetable tan leather. So you have the quality, right? The strength, the quality, but then it's how it's tanned. Most leather is made with chrome tanned leather. It's made with chromium. And instead of it being like a several month process to make with vegetable tanning, it's like a one-day process. It's made like a harsh chemical. And then we don't really talk about the toxicity because that's kind of gay. Like that's not our marketing term. But people who are conscious of that, you don't want to stand on chromium because you soak it and absorb it into your skin. But that's what everybody's selling you. And then chromium's so bad that they don't even use that type of leather on horses because it'll burn the hair on their skin.
Sure, yeah.
They only use vegetable tan leather, but they'll use it on humans. And if you're a guy that's okay with $50 flip-flops, buy them, wear them, use them. We're not for you.
Sure,
you're not our guy.
Yeah.
We're looking for people who are hardcore flip-flop users. They're going to hike up a mountain. They're going to go over a lava field. They're going to go hunting. They're going to go through the jungle. And they want something that's going to last, virtually never break, be super strong, and form to their foot.
Right.
And it's 100% U.S. made.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Rainbows are like $80, so it's not like if they last a year and that's it, then you still end up paying the same amount of money.
There was this, you ever heard of the company Business Insider? They do a lot of stuff. They did a story on ocean plastics, and they said that 25% of ocean plastics is made up from disposable flip-flops. And I thought that was extreme, but here's how it works. The number one footwear in the world is flip-flops. All over South America, the entire continent of Africa, throughout Europe, Asia, India, the Pacific Islands, and some of North America. It's the number one footwear in the world is flip-flops. It's what everybody wears. And they're made for like $1. They break, they wind up in the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like shower shoes, for example.
Yeah, just cheap ones.
Yeah.
Like the ones the Brazilians make, the Havaianas, they make a cheaper version of that in Africa. They sell them for just a few bucks. Less than their version of a few bucks. Pennies to us.
Africa's beaches get about 90 tons of discarded flip-flops per year. That's a lot.
90 tons.
That's a lot.
And the tough part is, how do you measure that to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, it's a guesstimate, so it's probably way worse than that, to be honest. Good Lord. I mean, I assume they're just going based on how many get purchased and passed around there, and they just assume they're getting tossed.
And there's no trash management in those places.
No.
So, like, we can't get plastic straws in California when I'm out there because some fucking sea turtle. Go to any one of our bays or rivers and watch how much trash comes out of our rivers. It's almost none.
Well, now there's a bunch of face masks floating around out there, which is kind of ironically funny, I guess. But
yeah, but pull up a video of like polluted Indian river, polluted Asian river.
There's like,
you can't see water.
There are basically land masses of trash that's compacted together that's just floating around in the Indian Ocean.
It's all from Asia and India.
It's wild as hell.
Yeah. So those aren't target areas that we market on. That's just interesting facts,
Sure.
on that. So our flip-flops last a long time. I currently have a pair that I've been wearing for 6 years, and when you wear the tread out, I could retread them. Just put another tread on them and keep going.
You guys do that.
We do that, yeah.
How much does that cost?
We haven't really needed to do it, but we could do it. Now, I could tell you, we've done it for our early customers, like the guys that supported us in the very beginning when the product wasn't as good. You send me back your flip-flops to get them retread, and then you get sent a brand new generation instead. So we've never actually had to retread them.
Yeah.
We just send them a brand new pair.
Well, back on the customer service thing, my buddy Josh Smith, who owns Montana Knife Company, does that.
I love those guys.
Yeah, he's got the best knives in the world, in my opinion. And they are actually made in America.
I got one right here.
Yeah,
on my hip.
Yeah, I've got several in there. They're actually made in America, and if your knife gets dull, you can mail it to him, and he'll sharpen it and mail it back for free. You know what I mean? Which is cheaper than a sole on a shoe, obviously, but still, that's part of it. Like he's set out to make knives that would be passed down from generation to generation. I don't think you're going to do that with flip flops because that's weird. I don't know. I don't want to wear anybody else's shoes, to be honest.
Well, you're also buying something that's specifically for your foot. It molds your foot. And anything you wear on your foot is a disposable item. So your car tires, you're not going to pass them down to your kids. They're disposable. Over many, many years, they're disposable. Flip-flops, shoes, gloves, things like that are disposable items.
Yeah, and if you buy good custom orthotics, you're going to spend about $500 to $800 anyways. Right.
And they're going to do nothing for you.
Yeah. I mean, those things that's the biggest scam in the fucking world.
Don't even get me into foot health.
Well,
we'll talk for 6 hours about foot health.
Give me the short version. Because
there's this philosophy, and keep in mind, I got a 7th grade education, right? I don't know anything. But I do know that if you injure your body from your ankle up, the way they're going to rehab you is movement. They want if you injured your hand, they want it moving, they want blood flow, they want circulation. Sure. If you hurt your foot, they want more immobilization, more arch support, more orthotics. It makes no sense to me. It's crazy. Your foot is supposed to be like a chimpanzee's foot. It's supposed to grip the earth and move similar to your hand. That's the human foot we have. But what we've created is a hoof, like a cow.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's a hoof with like 40 or 50 bones in it or some shit.
Exactly.
Right?
And then they cause problems because they're not working. So one of the ways that we got I guess, more mainstream. There's been a lot of ways. But
26 bone, excuse me.
But
Anyways.
Brian Callen, the comedian,
Yeah, I know
actor,
Brian.
super good guy. One of the coolest guys ever. He kept complaining about his foot
He would
health.
agree with that, by the way.
Yeah, he would.
He would definitely agree with that.
He was complaining about his foot health on the podcast. And he's been to every doctor. He's super famous. He's been to every doctor. Everyone's helped him. Nothing's worked. And I texted him one day. I said, hey, quit being a pussy and start wearing flip-flops. And he called me up. I sent him a pair of flip-flops. I said, don't post about these because we're small. We can't handle the business. Just wear them. Almost immediately, he's like, my feet are getting better. And I said, it's not magic. You're just using your foot.
Sure,
your
yeah.
foot's designed to be used. And the idea that you need to support your arch, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why don't you need to support your neck? Why don't you have a back support all the time?
Yeah.
Why don't you have arm supports?
Well, I mean, you do have a back support. It's lower back muscles
Exactly.
and your traps and things like that.
And then you need to support your arch because you've caused atrophy in your foot by keeping it sedentary in a shoe.
Yeah, so
my
if it-
feet are just working and moving all day.
Yeah.
Even when I'm sitting here, I'm crunching my toes, I'm rolling my toes, I'm squeezing my foot together.
So, in the same way that if you're having back problems, strong lower back and strong core muscles are going to improve that. Having strong top of the foot muscles are going to improve arch issues.
All the way around.
I don't think people know that.
Strong bottom, everything. We get countless messages, about, bro, my feet have been fucked up since the military. I've messed up my foot as a.
It's a big problem. Wearing boots all the time like that fucks
And they're
you
like,
up.
I wear these flip flops, are the best I've ever worn. So much so that I just have like an auto response to that stuff because it's like I'll just be like, thanks, bro. You know? Like,
Yeah.
I know.
That never really occurred to me, to be honest.
It just doesn't make sense why you would put support under your arch.
Yeah.
Your foot, it doesn't matter if your foot's flat or if you have a high arch. It's just the same thing that if you have a short neck or long arms, it's just a genetic feature your body has.
Sure, yeah.
It has nothing to do with your foot health.
And is there anything unique about Toehold in regard to that, or is it just wearing high quality, like a flip flop that you can wear all the time, no matter what you're doing, is going to allow you to do more of that shit?
So the vegetable tan leather is the magic.
Okay.
Because if you're using chrome tan leather, it doesn't do anything. It's just soft, squishy,
Sure, yeah.
squirmy. And most of the time what you're buying from another company, they're just like, it's shit. It's just shit leather. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't form, doesn't do any of the things that vegetable tan does. And they don't use vegetable tan because it's expensive and it's hard to get. There's only 2 tanneries in the United States that still make it in the quality that it's been made in the old days. We get it from the oldest tannery in the U.S. It's like from the mid-1800s.
What state is that in?
Pennsylvania. It's
Okay.
an Amish country.
Makes sense.
So it's just an old tannery. They have a limited supply. They have quite a bit of stuff. But if you called them up and you wanted to buy something from them, they wouldn't even take your call.
Sure.
They have everything that they make dedicated. And we had to earn the right to buy from them. Once they seen that we were producing a product of quality that matched like their standards and we aligned with like their philosophy, they started giving us a piece here and a piece there. Great guys are bow hunters, they're Republicans, they're salt of the earth type guys. Everybody we deal with, all of our vendors, anybody we've got supplies from, are really cool. The one counter to that is the guys from Vibram USA, super cool guys. We love them to death. They have a parent company in Italy that are a bunch of fucking European cunts. They fucking hate us.
Yeah, that's
They don't want them selling to us anymore.
They're coming back around now. Not Vibram people necessarily, or their parent company rather, but Europe had some elections yesterday and it didn't go the way that the globalist people wanted it to.
What happened?
The center right and far right, if you want to call them that, people won most of the seats. They were the only 2 that gained seats. Everybody else lost seats. Like
In which country?
The entire EU.
Oh, really?
So like all the climate people got hammered the most, and then the pro-immigration people got hammered the second most. So apparently people are tired of their women getting raped by illegal immigrants, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. Why?
Shocking
Yeah, why?
that was the case. At any rate, so what's next for the company? Like now you're established now.
Yeah.
You got a good pipeline. Now what?
So the next thing is we're building a new headquarters in Vegas. Big building to increase our production times. And as of now, we've been doing it out of my 3-car garage in my house. Living rooms, the whole house is a shop.
Yeah. And storage.
Exactly. So we have the same mechanism. We're just going to put it in a designated space with a little bit more room. We'll be able to increase our production times. But the future is just growing the company, growing the awareness. But we got a question this morning: where do we see ourselves in 10 years? And I hope we're exactly where we are right now, making the best products in the world for the best customers in the world, and making everything exactly the way I want it made.
Sure. So you've got some good and bad experience in the U.S. A kid in trouble doesn't make it through school because of the trouble, a little jail time. Then you get into business training and management, and now a business owner, now a successful business owner with an expanding business. How do you think you see the U.S. differently than you did at, let's say, 17, I guess?
Well, if I really look at if we needed to solve a problem in the U.S., it's parenting. It's the only problem we have in the U.S. that we can identify. It's parenting. The kids nowadays are shitty because their parents raised them shitty. And they're going to raise their kids shitty, and so on and so on. Spankings went away. Punishments went away. One thing I learned when I lived in Okinawa is American kids scream when they play. Japanese kids don't. So if you go by a Japanese elementary school, the kids are playing quietly. They're conversing like kids. But if you go by American playground, every kid is screaming. They want to they want to yell more than the other. The parents are yelling at them. The school's yelling at them. It just is body of chaos. And one, it's parenting, and two, it's schools, right? So everyone's aware of the problems going on in schools nowadays, right?
Yeah.
What did you think those guys were going to teach your kid? Did you think they were going to teach them hard work and dedication? And no, fuck no. Get the fuck out of here. You deserve to have your kid be a tranny because you've sent them to a factory that produces that stuff.
Yeah.
Schools are ran by libs. You know that. You send them there, and then you're surprised at the result that they get. Your kid's on medication. You sent them to a factory for that. So the school system needs to completely go away. You can teach your kids in 3 years what they learned in 13 years of going to a public school. Ask your kid, what did they learn today after school? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm dumb as fuck. I learned all the stuff I know from Instagram. I mean, from the iPhone, just Googling things.
Yeah.
We have all the answers in our pocket every day, but guess what? Very few people look.
Yeah.
And parents are so bad nowadays. The dad will complain to the kid about something the mom's doing. You're going to raise your kid on an iPad as opposed to teaching them to be patient, to sit still, to hold still in the car, or put them in an environment where they can just go and run wild. Go chop wood in the yard.
Yeah, dig a hole.
And then come inside, you're going to be exhausted.
Yeah.
We never hung out inside. My grandpa would just start swinging the belt if we were in the house.
Yeah.
We lived outside all the time.
You have to. I don't know about girls, but young boys for sure got to be outside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna.
Girls could get some of that, but they still definitely need to learn, another skill too. And then nowadays, being a hoochie whore, OnlyFans, there's no value. So why do you expect to be a wife or have a value system? So it's parenting and it's schools. If we fix those things, then we have a backbone to build the rest off of. We have a foundation. So the country's still a great country. Militarily, I still think we're fucking super superior. Every generation always thinks the next guys are pussies. That's normal stuff.
Yeah. Well, this generation's dressing like women, so that
they do.
There might be something to that.
But our women, our fucking trannies, will kick the fuck out of China.
Those
China guys are fucking pussies.
The number one Air Force in the world is United States Air Force, and the number 2 Air Force is United States Navy. I'm not concerned about any other country, frankly. I think it's retarded for us to worry about Russia or China. We should be worried about intellectual property theft and electronic warfare and immigration, but not war.
I agree with you.
They can't beat us in war.
I've been telling people for a decade, fucking Russia's a bunch of pussies. And as soon as they go
When's the last time they won a fucking war?
Exactly.
They can't even beat Ukraine, man.
Look at what they're doing. As soon as they went to war with Ukraine, they realized, dude, they were stealing their own tires. They were selling their own aluminum.
They got beat by Afghanis with just Stinger missiles.
And those guys will kick the shit out of China.
Yeah.
Russia's way tougher than China. China's a bunch of bitches. But their nukes they probably stripped the copper off their nukes in the 60s for vodka.
Yeah, I would imagine
Those
so.
things ain't fire.
I mean, all the ones that we're really the only ones we're really concerned about are the ones that they may put on a hypersonic weapon, because our Iron Dome is.
Yeah, I don't even believe they have those.
They've got hypersonic, but I don't know if they can put a warhead on it. That's not the same thing.
And I'm maxed out on nomenclature and acronyms, so I'll fuck this up. But their 5th gen fighter that they have that was so scary.
Their 5th gen fighter is a
joke.
4th gen fighter.
It's a joke.
It's not a real 5th gen. We're about to release in 28. We're going to release a 6th gen fighter, and nobody else has an operational 5th gen yet. Except
It's
for
a
us,
joke. So even their fighter jets are fake, you know. So their sonic missiles are probably trash. Also, they probably could generate a missile, but as far as like putting enough together to matter.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not concerned with Russia at all, honestly, or anybody else for that matter. I'm more concerned about people in our own country. Look, I think all forms of government eventually become just a means of extracting labor and wealth from the population, even the best, even capitalism, even republicanism and all this stuff. But, you got to have some kind of government, I suppose. But people not paying attention and not taking an active role in their government gets us where we are today. Right?
Republicans are notorious for that. We notoriously sit back in our rural houses and let the cities completely get overrun. Now, I worry about something for Texas, because California was more Texas than Texas was back in the day. California was all ranch, all agriculture, all farming, all that stuff, way more than Texas is. We lost San Francisco to the hippies in the 60s and 70s, and 20 years later, the whole state fell.
Yeah.
You guys are losing Austin to the same people, and the whole state's going to fall eventually. Look at Colorado. Colorado used to be like the most Republican place in the country, like one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll come to blows here, though, to be honest.
It needs to, but think about 20 years from now, we'll all be old men.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
You know? You guys got to be real careful out here, because Texas is the last stronghold for the Republic.
It's starting to swing back in the other direction a little bit, but it's hard to say. I mean, people are really dumb now. Like, even the liberals back in the day said things like, it's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country, which, by the way, is just a bastardization of a phrase by an author called G.K. Chesterton, who said that men didn't love Rome because she was great. Rome was great because the men had loved her, right? It's like the essence of one of the principles of this show, which is I'll put more into this country than I take out of it, which is kind of a Boy Scout thing, I guess. But you can see this same idea in all sorts of different philosophies throughout the years, forever, really, right? I mean, these are some 2,000-year-old ideas that the maintenance of a republic requires the effort of the people, right? And otherwise, like you're the way you behave yourself and the effort you put into the republic purchases all the freedoms that you want to have. And if you stop making the effort, then asshole leftists are going to come in and try to take that shit away from you. Yeah. Right? That's just how it goes.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. I do what the other groups do now. I only spend my money with other Republican companies. If I'm going to spend money somewhere, I need to know who those people are before I spend my money. I think that's
what kind of companies?
Anything, knife companies, gun companies. I make my own clothes, but virtually anything I try to do, I try to only buy stuff from people like-minded and not support the other side. We don't even want to sell flip-flops to liberals. If a liberal buys something from us, fucking send me a message, I'll return your money. Yeah. We don't want to sell them anything. You don't deserve these flip-flops.
What are there any other companies that you're aligned with right now other than your own?
Aligned with as far as?
Do you do any kind of cross promotion with anybody?
Yeah, so we're real close with Montana Knife Company. We love those guys. Half-face blades. Our buddy Stumptown Axes up in Kalispell, Montana. He makes really nice axes. God, there's more that I'm on the spot, I'm forgetting. But there's a lot of guys that I spend a lot of money with.
Well, you guys got a lot going on up in Montana because one of your partners is Andy Stump, right?
Yeah.
And he's a lunatic. Is he back from France? He's still in France, isn't he?
I think he just got back.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, they just jumped into Normandy for D-Day. I wasn't able to make it because I have a real job.
Yeah. They're always doing some sort of fun thing somewhere on the planet. I don't even know what they were doing. I just seen them dressed up like World War II style. We're jumping in. I guess it's part of the anniversary.
Yeah, the 80th anniversary. So they had a ceremony with a bunch of vets who jumped in and who stormed Omaha Beach. And then they did a couple jumps. I think they jumped in there in Normandy and then St. Miraculous as well, if I'm not mistaken. Sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
How did you end up hooked up with Andy?
Jiu-jitsu. One of my good buddies, Dan Hart, is friends with me and friends with Andy, and we kind of met each other that way.
Cool.
We got some cool guys, cool executives at Toehold.
Well, who are your influencer people? Do you work with Gordon Ryan, right?
Yes.
And who else? Just out of curiosity.
Really, we don't work with anybody. They're just friends of ours. You know, like we don't. I'll tip the models like after a photo shoot, but I don't message anyone and says, "Hey, I'll give you $500 to come shoot with us or $1,000." It'll be like my friend Heather will come down. We'll shoot some content, go to dinner. I'll throw a few bucks for her time, and then my friend Mio or whoever the models are we're using, they're just friends of mine that will just shoot content together.
And what other products do you have other than just?
We do flip-flops,
Okay.
wallets, both full-size minimalist, and we do a passport wallet. On occasion, we'll do some backpacks and some bags. But when those get released, they're sold in usually a few minutes.
Sure, yeah.
All of our stuff sells really fast. So we have about a 4-month lead time on a pair of flip-flops. So if you order now, you're getting them like late September. And then next month, guys will start ordering for Christmas because the lead times are, so big.
Sure. But everything's made to order, right?
It's all made to order,
Okay.
yeah. On occasion, we'll have like a piece already made. Let's say, for example, I'm making you something and I forgot your size. You're a 10, but I made an 11 or vice versa. Then we'll have something that's already pre-made. And if there's nothing else in the queue that requires that piece, we'll just put it online. It'll sell instantaneously.
Cool.
As much as we can make, we can sell. And then with the exotics too, so we import leather from all around the world, like the exotics.
Yeah. Like what kind are we talking about?
So we'll get shark from Mexico. There's a guy in Mexico that just like hand lines. He catches sharks, he eats them, he use them in his taco shop like way down in Mexico in Baja. And then we'll buy the hides from him. And then those hides, there's a small yield from them. We may get 2, 3, 4 pairs out of them. And then we get our hippo, our crocodile, our elephant from Africa. We work with the parks out there. So if an elephant dies for whatever reason, the villagers are usually the first ones to find it. They cut it up, take the meat. Even if it's hunted and the hunter's not allowed to bring the hide back, he'll release that hide to a government official, which will then have it tanned, and then it'll be auctioned off, and somebody like me will buy it, $2,000, $7,000, whatever it is, depending on the size. And then they get all that money directly going back to park funding, conservation, fuel and ammo for anti-poaching. And then it's up to us to sell the hide.
Sure. What do you have any idea what the difference in tanning is for an elephant or a shark? I mean, is it the same?
Yeah, well, the process is the same as far as like the way it's tanned. The length of time, both of those are probably pretty easy. The tough thing with elephant is the size of it.
Yeah.
Where you ever wash like a king size blanket in your washing
Sure,
machine
yeah.
and it just maxes it out?
Yeah.
Well, imagine like 15 of those together. So you gotta have gigantic drums to process that. And sometimes they'll just cut them up into smaller pieces to be able to utilize that.
Sure.
So those are just physically difficult to tan. And then in addition to that, we only buy ethically sourced leather, so we know where it's coming from. But most importantly, it's the highest quality available on the planet at that time. So if there's 10 pieces available, I'm going to buy the 2 or 3 that are the absolute best. And that's all we do. Always the best.
Sweet. Well, it looks like things are going pretty well for you.
I can't complain. Like every month, we're just destroying the previous month. We do offer, so we're not a discount company, right? Everything we do is made entirely by hand. It takes a long time to make. There's 550 steps that go into making just our most basic pair of flip-flops. The Stingray and stuff like that take almost double that. but we do offer for military, active or vet, law enforcement, first responders, we do offer a discount with proof of service, because anybody that's willing to do something that might cause them death for me, I feel like they deserve a little bit of a discount.
Sure. And that, what do you use, like ID.me or some bullshit?
No, they just showed me a picture of their ID. Just texted me a picture of their ID. We're not that formal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that it's pretty easy to get that plug in your site, but I don't know if they're collecting data and shit. I don't trust any of those assholes, to be honest.
Yeah, usually, like, the Instagram button that has the auto expire.
Yeah.
Usually a guy will just send me a picture like that. He'll show me for like 2 seconds, and then I just confirm he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
We're pretty casual with that stuff.
Cool. Well, a lot of my buddies use your stuff. I've never worn them. I'll get some soon. I see you have some that have a Texas logo on them. Maybe I'll grab those. But we got to get out of here. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find all your products.
So the best way to reach us is on Instagram. It's TOE_HOLD. It's a big, like, blue palm tree. We're super shadow banned because we post a lot of Trump stuff. So you have to search for us a little bit, or you have to go to somebody's page and find us there. We're literally restricted from anybody finding us, seeing us. It's crazy.
Yeah, same.
You go to our website at shoptoehold.com, but that's really where you see some of the stuff, like some of our popular things. The majority of what we have is behind the scenes. So let's say, for example, we have like a pink stingray. Mm-hmm. There might only be 2 pairs in the world. They're not going to make the website.
Okay.
Shoot me a message. I'll send you a video, tell you what we have. And we just do personal shopping right in the DMs.
Cool. Sweet. Cool. Well, thanks for coming today, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a fun conversation. I like I like the look of all this stuff. I like the fact that you're not a pussy. That's nice. Everybody that owns a business these days is a goddamn coward, and it's really irritating.
Yeah, we don't put up with any of that shit.
Yeah,
I'll burn this whole thing to the ground before we'll sell out.
Yeah, fuck that. Well, good. Thanks for coming today. Enjoy Vegas. It's going to get hot as fuck soon. Probably not that much hotter than here, though. Less humidity, certainly. So thanks again for coming. Thank you all for listening. It's been Citizen.